again and welcome to the President's Town Hall. Similar to last time, we'll start with an update from President Devlin, followed by time for questions and answers. For those of us who are joining us online, please submit your questions to communications@fanshawc.ca. Please join me in welcoming President Devlin.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Super to see you all. And so whether you are here in our alumni lecture theater or whether you are joining us remotely, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. There's a clicker here that I forgot to pick up, and it's right over here. So there are a few hundred here, and there's, I understand, about 500 or so that are joining us online. So I'm really delighted that you're all here, and I look forward to sharing a few thoughts with you. I'd like to begin, though, by telling you that my wife Judy and I attended the Battle of the Atlantic ceremony on Sunday, this past Sunday. It was the 80th anniversary, and it included the unveiling of memorial walls. They called the memorial wall panels. On the panels were the names of the ships and the sailors that were lost over the Battle of the Atlantic period. It took place at HMCS Prevost, which is at the fork of the Thames River. Indigenous elders that were there welcomed all to the ancestral lands, which includes the fork of the Thames. They said, "The river hears the past and looks forward to the future with strength. A meeting point for diplomacy and exchange, a site for cultural revitalization, education, and honor." And they got me thinking about Fanshawe College, how we, too, are a point for exchange, for education, for communication and reconciliation. And so this is a photograph of that beautiful point, fork of the Thames. Go check out, though, the memorial at HMCS Prevost. It's really special. I would like to acknowledge and honor the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape people of southwestern Ontario as the traditional owners and custodians of the lands and waterways that we at Fanshawe call home. We come with respect for the land and for the people, and are especially committed to working with our Indigenous students, staff, and elders in the spirit of partnership, collaboration, and to exchange in reconciliation. Here's what I'd like to share with you this morning. I'd like to give you a little bit of an update about things that have been happening across the college over the past little while. Look at our enrollment and financial outlook. Talk to you about the implementation plan for our enterprise-wide review, which is done. A little bit about the strategic direction we're moving in towards 2035 and ask for your assistance. And lastly, end with providing the opportunity for you to ask some questions. Okay, so let's begin. Saturday, March the 29th, open houses across all of our campuses from 10 until 2. I know most of you were there. It was electric. There was an unbelievable level of enthusiasm, and it was great. And of course, all my notes are out of line here right now. But what I wanted to mention was that all of our targets, from attendance to leads to confirmations to having students sign up, were all exceeded. And I just wanted to thank you for that spirit that you brought to the halls of Fanshawe College for our open house. It will and already is making a difference in our domestic enrollment and the opportunities we provide to Ontarians and Canadians to grow and learn and study at Fanshawe. I'm super happy that we launched a new student website. It's a website for current students. It's specifically designed to make it easier for them to navigate, to access the important info that they need for success at the college. It was designed with your input, with input from students, and so I'm delighted that our new, for current students, website is up and operating. I just reinforced that we changed lives. Winter 25, so this past semester, you touched 159 different students that all had unique and special needs. Whether it was tied to economic demands, whether it was tied to housing, whether it was tied to fees, transportation, you helped them and allowed them to complete their studies here. I'll give you two examples. There was one young student who lost everything in a fire, and we provided essentials, reassurance, and community that allowed them to complete their studies. One more example was a young mother, single mother of two, who was going through some budget challenges. We helped her with groceries. As a result of that, she was able to complete her studies, and we changed her life. And so just that stuff reinforces to me our commitment to an exceptional learning experience here at Fanshawe, thanks to you, whether it's academics, whether it's student services, whether it's how we unlock potential and achieve personal success. You help change lives. Thank you. A few other neat things. Super honored to have been recognized by United Way Elgin Middlesex with the Change Maker Award. Thanks for your active involvement. Thanks for your compassion. Thanks for your generosity, which was all recognized. Fanshawe was recognized. And there's a photograph of an exceptional team there that leads us through the efforts of United Way and Elgin Middlesex. Secondly, Fanshawe is the cornerstone, one of the cornerstones of the bus rapid transit system. A bit of a pain in the ass right now of trying to get on and off the campus. Thanks for your patience there. It will, in the end, have way better access for students and for all of us to get on and off campus. And so there will be many more months of pain, but it will be worth it in the end. In March, we hosted Innovation Lives Here. We hosted it with wonderful partners like WSIB, St. Joe's Healthcare. It reinforced how we're using XR and VR to enhance the student learning opportunities. And there's such potential with XR, VR, AI, and so much more that we are incorporating into our student learning. So these are just a few of the examples that are happening in Southwestern Ontario, courtesy of Fanshawe College, courtesy of you, that just demonstrates that we are a leader in higher education, we are an economic driver for the region, and we're also a cultural and social hub. So thank you to all of you for that. Another point I'd like to emphasize here is the progress that we're making in advancing EDI efforts. A few numbers here to share. Hosted a number of events, Joseph and the EDI team. They have touched over 2,000 folks with their events and training opportunities that they provide. Every month, they also help in the neighborhood of 40 students deal with inequity and oppression issues, 40 a month. So thank you to the EDI team for the support they provide. And they've offered over 100 teaching circles to all of us to enhance our understanding of EDI, all with an effort to reinforce that Fanshawe College is a place where we belong. So we're looking forward to the action plan that will reinforce that this fall. So these are a few examples of what I think makes Fanshawe College special. And that's in addition to the exceptional academic learning, the exceptional student supports. However, we are confronted with poor funding, lowest in the country. Lowest in the country, I might say that a couple of times this morning, as well as a significant reduction in international student enrollment. So let me tell you about where we're at and where we're going, and I'll begin with enrollment. So on this slide, in red are international students, and in gray are domestic students. The hashed out bits are our projections, because we do a lot of work to project into the future so we can plan deliberately. You'll note that international students drop from the high by 63%. Domestic students shows modest growth. Overall, though, we will see 30% fewer students, and I'm using here full-time term enrollments because everybody has a different definition of enrollment. Frustrates the heck out of me. So I am using deliberately here full-time term enrollments so I can understand it and do my best to explain it to all of you the way I understand it to be and the impact that it has. So actual projected total students down 30%, international 63%. Some good things that are happening is how we're adapting, and we need to adapt. And so delighted that our CE enrollments are up by 30%. Our part-time post-secondary registration's up 35%. That's sector leading, by the way, and that's a credit to all of you. And it demonstrates how we're evolving and we are catering to different students and different needs. And so we are flexible in our delivery. We are flexible in how we program to be able to support students. And so thanks to all of you, this is just one area where we see growth. Let me move to the financials. The revenue is in red. Our expenses are in gray. We're working on finalizing this past fiscal year's books. We anticipate a $41 million surplus this past year ending 31 March. The next 2 years, however, indicate that we are planning a deficit of $72 million. The last time I spoke to you, that deficit was $95 million. So the deficit is $23 million less than what it was the last time I spoke to you. However, I recognize that it's the results of many months of effort and wisdom and watching what we spend to be able to reduce that budget by $23 million. Let me again emphasize that our funding is not good, and that being Ontario funding. We're funded the lowest in the country. That's the college sector in Ontario funded the lowest, 44% of the national average. Tuition was frozen It was reduced by 10% in 2019, and it remains frozen. We are, though, spending 76% of our budget on student learning. Proud of that. We will always put that emphasis on student learning, courtesy of all of you and your efforts to emphasize student learning and the reason that we are here. We are also doing some spending on capital projects as we invest in our future. And so I highlight 5 here. We're going to finish the Campus Energy Center. We are building new classrooms in support of our standalone 4-year BSCN nursing degree. Building classrooms in the top 2 floors of Innovation Village, known as L Building. We are still spending on ERP, Workday, and I appreciate the frustrations that you are all experiencing with Workday. Super frustrating, not unlike Bus Rapid Transit. And it's real, and it touches how we hire people, it touches payroll. We're working hard to fix those issues as we are into phase 2, and as we look forward to the learning that we will take from phase 1 and phase 2, and incorporate that into phase 3, arguably the most important part, because that's the student project. And lastly, WSIB Center of Excellence. Of course, that's funded by WSIB with their very generous gift. And so I'd like to now turn to our road to sustainability. You all know that we undertook an enterprise-wide review. That review putting Fanshawe College on a path to sustainability, long-term sustainability, long-term strength. The EWR is more than financial balancing. It's a focus on the resources, and so they are aligned with our mission. The board approved our implementation plan of the enterprise-wide review at the same time as they approved the budget that I shared with you on this on an earlier slide. And so this has been our road to sustainability, and right now we're at this point in red where I committed to a town hall in early May, 8th of May here today. And while I'm about to share with you those initiatives, I'm sure it won't answer all of your questions, but I am sharing all that I know at this particular time. And so, whether this implementation plan talks about everything from space optimization to enrollment management to technological upgrades, what unifies these initiatives is accountability to you and to students. And we are reshaping Fanshawe College for the next generation. It will take time, certainly a lot more time than I imagined it would take. It will take trust, and it will take care. 2 initiatives, that being program review and workforce, account for 95% of the savings. It doesn't take anything away from the other 6 initiatives because they too are important on our road to success here. And so what I'd like to do is to cover briefly each of these initiatives with you. And I'll begin with the program review. Program reviews happen all the time at Fanshawe. We have a regular schedule of program reviews. We took a really detailed look as part of the enterprise-wide review. We focused on financial sustainability, relevance to labor market need, as well as alignment with our strategic mandate agreement. It was a detailed, comprehensive examination, data-driven for all of our programs. We announced a month or so ago that we were permanently suspending 40 programs. At a moment in time, over the past year though, there were additional programs that had been suspended. So the programs that we have suspended over a recent period of time totals 50. We also, as you would all know, we regularly suspend intakes of programs. We believe from fall of 24 to winter 26, we will likely end up suspending 154 intakes. It touches 92 different programs. Some of those intake suspensions are the result of us having offered in the past multiple intakes during an academic year. We're unable to do that, predominantly tied to enrollment, and so often now there is only a single intake. And so that's why you see a large number of intake suspensions. The other thing that happens during program reviews is we get insights into how industry is changing and evolving. We get insights into new program opportunities. There are many that are going through our development. There's 10 that are in advanced stages of program approvals. And so that, I believe, has been part of Fanshaw's success over the past. I'll give you an example of just 3 of those programs which are on the eve of being launched. They include financial technology and innovation, family legal services provider, and music industry management and artist development. It's interesting that that last one is on the eve of MIA celebrating their 50th anniversary with a reunion in Toronto this weekend. So that is where we're at with our program review. Let me move now to workforce structure, and I believe this is where there's probably the greatest level of interest this morning. Again, a detailed, thoughtful approach to looking at our workforce. We identified 5 principles that guided our examination of our structure. They include supporting the student journey, center-led to gain efficiency and reduce duplication. Let me just comment on center-led there because it's different than centralization. So center-led means that there's guidance and direction that comes from the center or the top, but there's flexibility in how it's executed on the ground. Important because we believe in the strength that everybody brings to Fanshawe. A logical grouping of work would be our 3rd principle, a principle that reinforces the importance of collaboration, clarity of roles, and the important aspect of accountability. And lastly, we're looking to achieve balance across portfolios, departments, and sections. We began this exercise by looking at the executive portfolios. And so we have reduced from 5 vice president portfolios to 4. And on that point, allow me again to share with you that Michelle Baudouin will retire this fall. One of the most compassionate, dedicated leaders I've ever had the opportunity to work with. Michelle has 38 years of public service, 33 of those in the college sector. And so we will miss Michelle, but her wisdom is part of how we look at our workforce and how we look at our structure. And so I'd like to just quickly go over those 4 portfolios now, beginning with academic. Everything here tied to student academic delivery is in this portfolio. It includes the faculties, the Institute of Indigenous Learning, a new Center for Teaching and Learning, and academic strategic integration are parts of the academic portfolio. The other 3 include students, employees, and culture. So we put all people into a single portfolio. So all humans are there and being cared for in a consistent way. HR, OD&L, our Center for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, Student Experience, Library Learning Commons, and Employment and Student Entrepreneurial Services, all in one portfolio. Corporate Services and Infrastructure has finance, information technology, and facilities. And innovation strategy and enrollment has the student journey for all students placed in that portfolio, including the registrar, business development and strategic support, advancement and alumni, RBM, corporate communications, and applied research in our Center for Research and Innovation. The same 5 principles that I covered on the previous slide are the same principles that are being used to shape each of these portfolios, all with a view to having a modern, sustainable Fanshawe College for tomorrow. More on that because there is a downsized, I hope well-aligned workforce that will support operations at the college. And so we are working towards a target of a 35% workforce reduction. That's a lot. It amounts to approximately 400 folks. I would like to note that there are approximately 100 vacant positions. We had an uptake in our early retirement incentive program of 70-ish. Those folks will be advised on the 16th of May. And so 170-ish towards the 35% target. We're moving in that direction. And so it's a directional target. And you're probably frustrated because it's not more specific in that than that, but that's it's moving, things are changing, things are evolving, and I'm confident that we are moving in the right direction together. And I want to also say that at the end of it, there would still be a funding gap. And so there is a need for provincial action. And the college sector, all 24 colleges, along with Colleges Ontario, is working hard to demonstrate to the provincial government, who will announce a budget next week, and I don't expect there to be anything in it for the college sector, but next year's budget hopefully will be a modernized funding formula for the college sector. It is complicated in how we downsize, but it's respectful. Employment stability committees have already been established. They are looking into the process to make sure that the process is understood, and we respect the important work that employment stability committees provide to all of us and to the college. We're working to identify the positions. The downsizing will occur over time for a host of reasons. One example would be the teach out of programs. And while most of them will end in the summer of 26, there are several that will carry on into future years. We also have students that are accommodated, and this all adds to the complexity of the actual downsizing. We target mid-June to be able to share more specifics with you all, and a commitment to meet with displaced employees individually. The new college structure will take effect on the 30th of June. So again, an enormous amount of work to take place. I recognize also an enormous amount of uncertainty. And I understand the concern amongst all of you and all of our Fanshawe College community. We've eliminated, we have downsized, we have suspended a number of programs, and as we move towards our target of 35% being downsized, we'll work hard to keep you informed. Those were the two initiatives that account for 95% of the savings. There are 6 others that I just would like to touch on briefly, beginning with space optimization, all with our attempt to use our owned spaces to maximum capacity. And so we look at whether we need our leased spaces. I'll give you examples of like 431 Richmond Street, affectionately known by me anyway as the Shoppers Drug Mart building. And so could that top floor be accommodated on our Dundas Street campus? Will we need our leased space at London South? And could that delivery be moved here to our London or Oxford Street campus? We also have some properties that we own that I'm not sure that we need going forward, whether there's more efficient or cost-effective ways to do what we do with a warehouse on Cuddy Court by the airport, or a property that we own in Strathroy that we no longer deliver at Cuddy Gardens. That's what's part of the space optimization review. We also look at how we attract students, how we do our enrollment forecasting, and the huge amount of effort you all help us with retention. Alternate revenue generation would include our efforts on fundraising, as well as enhancing fee-for-service offerings. We will establish a legal compliance risk and privacy office centrally at the college, all with a view to lessening the services that we now pay for. IT strategy, and so this is a future-ready IT environment respectful of the cyber threat. And lastly, better management of our vendors, better and more central procurement direction, again, all with a view to saving funds. I'd like to turn to 2035, shaping our future together. We're in a validation stage right now. And so there's a survey that you can all provide your survey results and comments on. But these are 3 important areas that that I just wanted to share of why we exist, who we are, what we do. The words there are powerful. I just want you to leap in there into the survey and tell us whether we're on track or not, because these are the words that you have identified over the past several months of this strategic framework exercise. So do we transform potential into impact? We're human at our core, rooted in community, bold in change, and our efforts to provide a guided academic journey to ensure our graduates are ready for work and life for today and tomorrow. So my ask, please take the survey. So our road together is tied to sustainable enrollment. We are making bold and difficult decisions, but they're focused on programs, an aligned workforce, and having operations as efficient as possible. Managing the deficit as we reshape Fanshawe. Navigating change, I believe, with care and recognizing the impact on students, on all of you, and our community. And lastly, my heart tells me we will remain strong, uniquely positioned, and focused on delivering impact. I am grateful to all of you for your dedication to Fanshawe as well as to each other. Thanks for a special level of resilience as well as your commitment. And I would be pleased to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Peter, for your update. So now we'll move into the Q&A, and what we will do is similar to last time. So we'll take a question from online, and then we'll move into those of you that are in the room today. So if you do have a question, we do have Anne, Brandy, and Courtney, who will all be walking around with microphones. So we'll begin with an online question. Our first online question, Peter, was how can we maintain high-quality academic programming while cutting so many jobs?
Thank you. I think that's a great question. I'd say a couple of things. First, I would want to point out and again say there will be fewer students to go along with the fewer people that will be working at the college. What has defined Fanshawe over Fanshawe's lifetime, and certainly what I've seen in the period of time I've been here, is academic quality. Students come to Fanshawe because of the reputation that the college has for academic excellence. I think that it is also important to note that in our words, we will emphasize our priority on academics. It's in your way of being. And so I acknowledge that there will be fewer people, there will be fewer students, but there will remain an emphasis on academic excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Courtney, we have a question at the front here. I don't know, can we maybe put the lights up a tiny bit? Is that possible? There we go. Thanks.
I have a few thoughts to share, and I do so with Peter's consent. And hopefully with all of your indulgence. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Adam Rayfield. I'm a support staff employee. I work as a locksmith in the maintenance services and utilities department. And I'm a 15-year employee of the college. In fact, my anniversary date was this past Saturday. And in my spare time, as many of you know, I'm also the currently elected president of OPSUS FPO Local 109, representing part-time and full-time support staff here at the college. And I've been in that role for about 3.5 years. I have a couple other things I'd like you to know before I get to my thoughts, so please bear with me. Perhaps like many of you, I entered the workforce when I was 14. So when I came to Fanshawe College at 35, I had more than 20 years work experience. Part-time, full-time, across sectors and roles, hourly, salary, management. I earned 5 years of service at 2 different organizations before I came here. What I want to say, though, is that at Fanshawe, without hesitation or reservation, this is the best place I've ever worked, and it's worth fighting for. And I want you to know that I do the union work never to tear this place down, but I do it because I recognize while some of you share that experience, not everyone does. So I do that work to build the place up, to facilitate process and practice so that everybody can claim what I just stood in front of you and claimed. And I checked myself before I stood up here because this is pretty emotional for me, so bear with me. As we move into the path that lays ahead, it's going to be very difficult. So I'm asking all of you to do what I know I'll be doing, which is that we'll see colleagues and friends leave this college, they'll lose their employment through no choice or fault of their own. And that's terrible. So gather around them, hold them, support them as you can. Do everything you can to lessen the impact of that for them. Be kind. It's the easiest thing we can all deliver, and I implore you all to do that. Similarly, we'll see new colleagues join our departments. They'll be reassigned there, again, through no choice or real option of their own. And that's got to be a gut-wrenching thing to do. So be kind to them, be patient, be welcoming. Do everything you can to integrate them into your workplace. And then there's a last group I really want to identify. There's going to be folks that have to deliver the process and operationalize those outcomes. None of those folks want to do that work. It's going to be heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. So offer them grace and support and care as well. And I'll close with this. In the union world, everything we do is grounded in the tenet of solidarity. And for me, solidarity always meant showing up, always showing up, standing shoulder to shoulder with those that I represent, supporting them, pulling them up, and being there in their darkest days so that they can find a way through to better times. And the solidarity is grounded in the human ability of empathy. And as such, solidarity can be extended to everyone. So I stand before you today, my colleagues, my friends in person and online, and I offer each of you my solidarity as we navigate this. And I hope you'll join me in kind. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alan. Tough to say anything. But if there are other questions.
There are a few online. Thank you so much for that. Number 2, it says, with the quantity of employees that will be let go, how is it possible to handle this with care and dignity? We have all heard of Conestoga laying off their staff over a Zoom call. Will that be the case for Fanshawe? Or what will be? What will be the case for Fanshawe?
All right. Thanks, Jen. And thanks for that question. I guess I'd like to emphasize 2 points. The first would be our attempt to be as open, as transparent as possible with you so that there is a level of understanding of the circumstances that face Fanshawe College. The circumstances that other colleges face, I'm not exactly sure. I do know exactly the circumstances that Fanshawe faces and sharing that with all of you. So I hope that there is a level of confidence in and understanding. The second point would just be to follow Adam. There is a special level of empathy and compassion here. And so there is a commitment that leaders will meet individually with employees to share what, as you expect, is not great news. So those would be the two things I would emphasize: understanding and a level of compassion and respect for the Fanshawe community and employees.
Thank you, Peter. We have another question down here, I guess.
Hi, Peter. Daryl Bedford. I'll try and follow Adam. 23-year employee, and I served previously as OPSU CEFPO Local 110 president for 12 years. I would echo much of what Adam had said. I would also note that the message for faculty is that for the first time in the history of the college system, we're now all represented by the same group, and I'm very proud that we're now able to do that. And I think that's very important now because, especially in challenging times, some might say, well, your timing is really poor. Actually, no, we now need to all be working together. And if there's anything that is particularly important, is ensuring that faculty work assignments are fair, transparent, equitable. And that means that all of the 4 different classifications of faculty are all together represented by the same group, and that we're representing them in a unified way at the college. I would also tell all faculty, but especially newer faculty who might be feeling anxious at the moment, that the last thing we need is any finger pointing, and some might be tempted to say, well, why aren't more faculty retiring, full-time faculty retiring? I'll just say this, and it's kind of blunt, but there were real issues with how that early retirement program was designed, and it's not so much the monetary aspect, but just the practicality of it. There are very natural incentives in the CAP pension plan and with the way that faculty vacation works, that if there was attention paid to that we could have come up with something that was a much more attractive option for faculty to take. So those would be my comments.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'd like to say a couple of things, if I could. To your last point, we look forward to the conversations with our HR folks. And there's such a level of respect for the fact that we have 3 different employee groups here. And so the downsizing will happen across all of those employee groups. This is one of the times where I've seen the college sector, so Colleges Ontario and OPSU, working together to make sure that the provincial government is aware of how severe the circumstances are inside the college sector. And so I know that I look forward to working with 109 and 110, and Colleges Ontario looks forward to working with OPSU to reinforce each other's messages to the provincial government, because we do need a much more modern and appropriate funding system that is going to allow Premier Ford and Prime Minister Carney to achieve their economic and social objectives. Thank you for highlighting those points, and on your last one, we look forward to a conversation about that.
Thank you very much. The third question from our online viewers is the 35% workforce reduction based on full-time employment only and does not include the non-full-time?
Yes is the answer. There are so many categories of people here that I get confused, like my efforts to understand enrollment. So I've deliberately just talked about full-time positions. And so when I say 35% full-time positions, that's exactly what I mean. It's directional. We're moving in that. We're moving towards that. It's a target, and it will take, like you have heard, it will take an incredible level of understanding. It will take understanding on our part as we plan, respectful of our 5 principles, to be able to develop organizations that support the student learning journey, support each other, support the community. Long answer to the question being, I think the answer is yes.
Thank you very much. We do have a question in the room. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Peter, thank you very much for this opportunity to gather today. And I am hitting 5 years of employment here, which is wonderful. And I can't help but reflect on the way that today feels so much different than when we gathered in September at the start of the academic year in the courtyard, with the celebration looking forward to the year ahead. And I think as we go through this journey together as Fanshawe, I think while we have the groups that we need to support who will be unfortunately transitioning out of employment, I think hopefully for those of us who remain committed to our mission and serving our purpose as we go forward through this, I think I encourage leadership to really have those opportunities to really have those opportunities like we had in September, where we were thinking about looking forward and celebrating each other and rallying around each other. I hope that continues, and I just wanted to acknowledge sort of how different today feels from that.
Thank you. It does feel much different than it did at the end of August. Lots changed since then, and you've all been marvelously flexible in that change. There will be an academic year kickoff at the end of August of 2025 as we look forward to another academic year, an academic year with fewer students and fewer program offerings. But I think still lots to celebrate as we unlock potential, as we provide pathways to success for students, as well as meeting labor market needs, which is what we're laser focused on. Thank you for your comment this morning. I appreciate that, and the feeling is different.
Thank you very much. Peter, 4th question here. Can you share approximately what percentage of those roughly 400 employees are support staff versus faculty?
I cannot.
Okay.
I don't know that. And it will take us time to understand what that percentage is. All I can say is that all employee groups will be touched by the downsizing. I think there's a question here.
Yeah, we have a question right up at the front.
Hi, I'm a little confused about the directional nature of the 35% target and the relationship to that June 30th date. Is that a date at which the 35% will be completed? And also, do we know when people will start, or will it all happen at once, when people will be notified?
Sure, it's a wonderful, great quick question. Thank you. And so I'll do my best to make it less confusing. It is though. It's not clear. So we're heading in a direction of 35%. It's the 8th of May. So that structural adjustment will take place on the 30th of June. So that is the 4 new vice president portfolios and the organizations within those portfolios will be better defined. Not perfectly or finalized defined, but they will be defined as best we can. We will start our conversations with the employment stability committees. We will have our conversations with leaders who will have to make some unpleasant announcements to employees, but it will take us time to get to 35% for a host of reasons. One would be program suspensions and the cancellations of those programs. So there will be learning that will be taking place for the next year plus in some programs. We will be shaping and making adjustments based on some of those initiatives and the work that needs to happen to study those initiatives and understand where there's full potential and where there's not. So like I might be right out of it thinking that we can get out of London South. And so it's way more complicated than I thought it was going to be. So the answer is mid-June, there's going to be some conversations with many employees. It won't be the last conversations that take place. I can't even really tell you what percentage or what chunk of that 35% will happen. They will start then. And it will be a process that will take many months, I'd say over a year for us to figure it all out and to allow the necessary respectful work that has been established over time with unions, the bumping process, et cetera. It takes a long time. Important, respectful work. So not a great answer, a vague answer. 30 June, structures change. Before then, there will have some conversations will have taken place. There will be others that will take place in the months, if not year ahead.
Thank you, Peter. We have one last online question, and I believe, Courtney, you said there's one back there? Okay. So number 5, given the current financial constraints and recent layoffs, many of us are concerned about the optics behind posting multiple high-salary administrative roles related to the Workday system, some reportedly exceeding $100,000 annually. Could leadership clarify how these hires align with our stated budget challenges and whether there has been a cost-benefit analysis to justify these roles compared to retaining existing staff?
Great, thank you. Workday. The answer is yes, there's been a cost-benefit analysis, and there have been some positions that have been posted in support of Workday. Specialized positions with a specific skill set that we need to advance Workday. Do they command a higher salary than some of us would expect? Yes, they do. And they command that salary because they have that specialized skill that is necessary for colleges like us or organizations like us that are working to have an enterprise resource planning system in place so that we can better plan, we can better take care of the future, we can better care for students, and we can better care for employees. So yes is the answer. I recognize that those salaries are higher than many would expect.
Thank you, Peter. And our last question, oh, no, we're not doing another question out here. So I'll turn it back over to you for some closing words, please. Oh, sorry, now there is. Okay, last one here in the room. Sorry about that.
Not a question and comment. I just want to thank you, Peter. I know this wouldn't be easy. Sorry, President Devlin. I did want to tell the crowd, both in person and online, I've been laid off twice before, and I really appreciate the transparency and honesty. In both my cases, to be a little bit personal, I was just called into a room, no warning, nothing. So I appreciate the fact that you're laying everything out on the table and just calling a spade and just telling us the truth and honesty. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I have one last slide. However, what I'd like to do is just tape Adam's message and play it. This place is worth fighting for. We are a pillar in the community. I do, in my heart, believe that we are strongly leading with purpose. We are making bold, necessary choices. They're all focused on long-term sustainability. We do remain focused on student success. That includes both academic and student supports. We are focused on caring for our workforce because you make everything happen here at the college and the impact that you and Fanshawe delivers. We are guided by courage and collaboration, and I do think that together we will build a stronger Fanshawe College for tomorrow. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for looking after each other. Thanks for looking after Fanshawe, and I look forward to seeing and engaging with you on our campuses and in our hallways across the Fanshawe College footprint. I admire you all, and I'm proud to work with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined us today, both in person and online. And a recording of this presentation will